The Lightning Thief Rick Riordan, a fast, funny modern fantasy adventure where ancient myth slips into the everyday world, so the setting feels familiar while the surprises feel magical. After Harry Potter, this is the smoothest bridge because it keeps momentum high and confusion low. The chapters are short, scenes end on clear beats. That structure makes it easier to finish even if you only read in small pockets of time. If you love the early Harry Potter books for their sense of play and discovery, this keeps that energy while giving you a fresh cast of ideas and a different style of magic. It also works well if you are reading with family, or if you want something that feels welcoming after a big emotional finale. One practical reason it succeeds as a bridge is pacing. You do not need to push through a slow start. The story settles into its rhythm quickly, and the humor keeps the tone light without feeling childish. If you want the lowest pressure next step, start here, finish one book, then decide how far toward adult fantasy you want to move next. The Golden Compass, Philip Pullman. An atmospheric fantasy journey through a richly imagined world where curiosity drives the reading experience and the mood feels both wondrous and slightly unsettling from the start. If Harry Potter worked for you because the world felt bigger than the page, this is a strong next step. The writing is clear and confident, it respects the reader, it also feels less cozy than a school year story, which makes it a natural bridge toward older fantasy with bigger themes. The key benefit here is that you get that new universe feeling without dense lore homework. You can follow the story with normal reading attention, and the world reveals itself through scenes rather than long explanation. This is a good choice if you want wonder to feel a little more serious. You still get imagination and discovery, but the tone has more weight. If you are ready for a step that feels mature without feeling difficult, this is a strong pick. It also pairs well with readers who like to think about ideas after they finish a chapter, not just what happens next. The Final Empire, Brandon Sanderson. A modern epic fantasy with a clear, easy-to-follow voice. Set in a large world that is explained step by step so you rarely feel lost. If you want to move from young adult comfort into adult fantasy without hitting a wall of lore, this is the safest upgrade on the list. The prose is direct. Explanations arrive when you need them. The story moves with steady progress that keeps you oriented. Many readers worry that adult fantasy means long chapters, dense names, and an intimidating learning curve. This book is famous because it does the opposite. It teaches you its world in a structured way, and it rewards attention without punishing beginners. It is also a great pick if what you loved in Harry Potter was the feeling of learning rules and watching skill improve. You get that satisfying sense of escalation, and you can feel the story building toward payoffs that do not require you to be a genre expert. If you want adult fantasy that feels designed to be readable, start here. The Name of the Wind, Patrick Rothfuss. A slow, immersive fantasy with a lyrical tone and a strong sense of place, built for readers who enjoy atmosphere, learning, and long stretches of focused immersion. Choose this if your favorite parts of Harry Potter were the lived-in setting, the quiet routines, and the feeling of spending time inside a world rather than sprinting through it. The language is richer than the other choices here, but it stays readable if you take it in steady sessions. This is not the best choice if you are trying to restart reading with the smallest effort. It asks for attention. The reward is depth of mood. If you like books where the voice itself is part of the experience, this is the adult lane that keeps the study and wonder feeling alive. A useful way to think about it is commitment style. The Lightning Thief is a quick bridge. The Final Empire is a structured upgrade. This is the immersive lane. If you choose it, plan your reading like a routine. Even 20 minutes a day works well, as long as it is consistent. The Lies of Locke Lamora, Scott Lynch. A fast, witty fantasy set in a vivid city full of texture, where the tone feels clever and energetic, and the scenes move with the confidence of a heist-style adventure. This is the pick for Harry Potter readers who want an adult book that still feels fun. The humor is sharp, but the book is not silly. The chapters are built around momentum. The setting gives you immediate atmosphere without long lectures. This works especially well if you are afraid of choosing an adult fantasy that turns grim and heavy too quickly. The voice stays lively. The book also gives you a strong sense of place early, which reduces the beginner anxiety of feeling unmoored. If your ideal next read is something you can binge, this is a strong candidate. It is adult in style and scope, but it still has that one more chapter feeling that many people associate with Harry Potter. If you want to keep reading fun while moving up in age and complexity, this is a smart lane. The Lightning Thief Rick Riordan, a modern adventure fantasy with clean pacing and a familiar world backdrop, which makes it ideal as a low-friction first step when you feel post-series burnout. Use this video like a ladder, not like a test. After a long series, people often stall because they try to replace the exact feeling immediately. That is almost impossible. Instead, pick the next book by friction. The The lower the friction, the higher the chance you will finish, and finishing is what restores confidence. The ladder is simple. Rung 1 is the smooth bridge, which is why this title sits here. Rung 2 is wonder with more bite, which points to the golden compass. Rung 3 is adult fantasy with clear structure, which points to the final empire. Rung 4 is immersive language and slow atmosphere, which points to the name of the wind. Rung 5 is fast, witty adult energy, which points to the lies of Locke Lamora. You do not need to climb every rung, you just need the rung that matches your current energy. The Name of the Wind, Patrick Rothfuss. A long, immersive fantasy that rewards steady attention, so the best format is the one that lets you return to it consistently without losing the thread. The best follow-up to Harry Potter is often the one you can actually finish, and format is a big part of that. If your reading time comes in short bursts, an ebook can reduce friction because it is always with you and it remembers your place. If you have commuting, walking, or chores, audio can turn that time into steady progress. This is especially important for longer books. You do not want to rely on weekend reading if your weekends are busy. Instead, make it easy to keep contact with the story. Even 10 minutes a day beats one big session every 2 weeks. For this specific title, audio can work well because the language has rhythm and the scenes have a strong narrative flow. For the final empire, many readers prefer print or ebook because the rule clarity is easy to track visually. Choose the format that makes return visits effortless, and you will finish more books. The Golden Compass, Philip Pullman. A wide-scope fantasy with a strong sense of discovery and place, designed to make you feel that satisfying new world immersion without the burden of dense lore tracking. The hardest part after finishing Harry Potter is the sudden drop in world size. A random standalone can feel thin, and a dense epic can feel exhausting. This book sits in the middle. It gives you breadth while keeping the writing approachable. One reason it works as a post-series next step is that it feels complete and confident. You do not have to wait for it to get good. The tone is clear from early chapters. That clarity helps you settle in. If you finished Harry Potter and immediately felt that nothing else will compare, a big world book can reset that feeling. It gives your brain a new landscape to explore. You stop comparing moment to moment, and you start building a new reading memory. If you want wonder plus depth, this is the lane. The Final Empire, Brandon Sanderson. A clarity-first epic fantasy where the world and its magic behave consistently, so you can learn the rules as you go and feel rewarded for paying attention. Some Harry Potter readers do not miss the school setting as much as they miss the learning process. You start with basic rules, you watch skill and understanding grow, you feel that satisfying click when the world makes sense. If that is you, choose a fantasy that treats its magic like a system you can grasp. This book is built for that experience. It explains itself without stopping the story. The explanations feel like progress, not like homework. That makes it an unusually safe recommendation for readers who want to step into adult fantasy. Another reason it works is that it is easy to continue from here if you enjoy it. You can treat it as a single commitment first, then decide whether you want more of that style. That read one and decide mindset removes pressure, which is exactly what you want after finishing a beloved series. The Lies of Locke Lamora, Scott Lynch. A lively, witty, city-based fantasy with a modern-feeling voice where the setting is immediate and the pacing is built from sharp scenes rather than long, slow build-up. If your biggest fear is picking an adult fantasy that feels like homework, start here. The voice is confident and clean. The book keeps moving through clear scene breaks. The city atmosphere does a lot of work for you, so you do not need long explanations to feel oriented. This is also a great pick if you want to break from the familiar fantasy countryside look. The city is its own character in the reading experience. That freshness helps you stop comparing everything to Harry Potter. The practical advice is simple. If you want a fun adult lane, choose this. If you want a structured adult lane, choose The Final Empire. If you want an immersive slow lane, choose The Name of the Wind. Pick the lane that matches your week and you will read more. The Lightning Thief, Rick Riordan. A beginner-friendly modern fantasy adventure with quick chapters and a familiar world frame, which makes it the safest first pick when you want a smooth transition and an easy finish. If you cannot decide, choose the book that is easiest to finish. Finishing is what resets confidence after a long series. This is the smoothest transition, so it is the safest default. Read it with zero pressure and let your reaction guide the next step. If you finish and want wonder with more breadth, choose The Golden Compass next. If you finish and want adult fantasy that still explains itself clearly, choose The Final Empire. If you finish and want fun adult momentum, choose The Lies of Locke Lamora. If you finish and want slow immersion and a study vibe, choose The Name of the Wind. The goal is not to find a perfect replacement. The goal is to keep reading enjoyable and sustainable. One finished book creates momentum, and momentum makes every future choice easier. The Golden Compass, Philip Pullman, an atmospheric fantasy with a wide world and clear writing, which makes it a strong next rung when you want wonder with more complexity but you still want to stay beginner-friendly. Here's a quick test that avoids wasted time. First, decide how much structure you want. If you want clean rules and obvious progression, pick the Final Empire. Second, decide how much speed you want. If you want fast scenes and witty energy, pick The Lies of Locke Lamora. Third, decide how much atmosphere you want. If you want slower immersion and lyrical voice, pick The Name of the Wind. If you want the easiest restart and the least pressure, pick The Lightning Thief first. If you are still unsure, choose this book. It sits in the middle of the ladder. It delivers wonder and breadth, but it does not demand dense lore tracking. Full explanations plus how to upgrade after each choice are in the long video.